Start streaming. And looks like it works.
Enormous concentration of power.
Democracy, poverty reduction, and cryptocurrency.
Are you sophisticated enough to invest in securities?
Bitcoin is actually a reversion to commodity money.
Decentralized social networking.
All right. Intercoin show.
Took me a long time.
Today we're going to talk about Intercoin's listing on Exmarkets. This is kind of a first. There's two firsts today. One is that I'm waking up to see Intercoin actually listing on an exchange. And we're going to talk about the chart. We're going to talk about what listing means. And I should say that what's being listed is the ITR token, not Intercoin, which is coming out in, looks like early 2022. Intercoin, the reserve currency for communities worldwide. But we want to talk about Intercoin listing. We want to talk about what that means for our investors, what that also means for the crypto community. And the other first today is that I have with me, I think it's the first time that I am pretty much the only guy up here on stage. So it's nice to...
Oh, you got Carter. You got Carter here too.
I'm here.
He joined.
Hey, Carter. Well, I should say I was the only guy until I started talking. No, it's nice. It's nice to have all the ladies here of Intercoin. So kind of maybe you can introduce yourselves, kind of talk a little bit about how long you've been with Intercoin, what you do, and we can get started. So let's start off with you, Stacy. Maybe you joined probably the most recent. So tell us about yourself.
Okay, my name's Stacy, and I've been invested in crypto for 3 years now. And I've been working with Intercoin for terrible time, but I want to say maybe about 5 months. And I'm working on building the community. So basically, we're just trying to grow the community, have people link to all of our different social medias, join our forum. It's an excellent tool to actually have people have a conversation about, not just Intercoin, but like actually things that matter, like economics and how blockchain can solve problems. So basically that's just my role. We're just building a team, and we meet here once a week. We also are doing Twitter Spaces. We're going to start having actually more Twitter Spaces. So basically that's just what we're doing right now.
Fantastic. I was really happy when Stacy joined because Stacy is involved with some other projects, which you can mention if you like. She's done a great job. She knows how to grow communities, and she knows essentially how to make them big. And hopefully with the Qbix platform that we're doing now, Qbix, if you actually go there, platform, you'd be able to see about 10 years worth of work of how we can help communities around the world. So that's, actually, you know what? Here's one example. GBA, Director, Testimonial, Qbix. Government, I'd probably say Government Blockchain Association. Here's an app that we made for the Government Blockchain Association. And if I can find it here, which is always the case, you can never find something when you're actually looking for it at the moment. Well, we can always go to, okay, I'll do it later. Meanwhile, not to bore everybody with my stuff, I want to introduce Elena. Elena, how long have you been with us? And talk a little bit about yourself as well.
Hello everyone, my name is Elena Rivers. I'm one of the advisors on Intercoin. I began my work with Intercoin last summer, 2020, and I've been introduced to Intercoin actually 3 years ago. We met with Gregory Magarshak in London, and I fell in love with the project so much. I really liked the vision, and here I am. planning, helping, and working with different communities and providing support for Intercoin team to go global.
And Elena, you have a deep experience with investors, right? You're coming from the real estate investor space a few years ago, got into crypto.
Yes, I am security and of investment specialist, certified in UK from Chartered Institute of Security and Investments. And I used to work with real estate, but in 2016 I started, I was interested in crypto as a private investor initially, and then when I realized that actually crypto space needs some connections with the investment world, some companies approached me to help to introduce to investors, and I began to work with crypto communities in 2017, 2018. And since then, I am in a space and really enjoy it.
Fantastic. Glad to have you here, Elena. We've known Elena already for over 2 years. I personally, with Norman, we went to, first time I was there, I wasn't with Norman, but I met Elena, and this was before we started with Intercoin, and she was like, you're doing very interesting things, but she was busy at the time. And then she finally joined us a year later when I was in London again. And it was very, I think, at this moment, there hasn't been a more enthusiastic supporter of what we do, except for ourselves who started it. There hasn't been a more enthusiastic supporter than Elena. So, very glad to. Absolutely. And then, okay, we've got Marcilda. Marcy, can you talk about how you learned about Intercoin and how long you've been with us and what you do?
Yes, definitely. You guys can hear and see me right? Because I want it to be visual.
We'll try. All right. We just saw you for a second and you were gone.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Marcela Bialczak. I'm the marketing director of Intercoin, but also the show producer for this show that you guys are watching today. I've been with the team for more than a year. I think I started August of last year, and so many things have changed and progressed since I've joined. We have been able to grow a community very very organic, let's say that, because we have tried to not make any ads. And, in some of the social media platforms, even if we want to, cryptocurrency is still kind of like banned on a lot of ads for whatever reason, because all we're doing is we're building technologies that will benefit communities worldwide to improve their local economy, to end poverty and corruption. And we have so much passion about this. That's why probably a lot of us were really intrigued by the project, like Intercoin, and what we are trying to achieve. So what we have been doing so far for the last 1 year has been, like Stacy mentioned, building the community, trying to really bring awareness on the technology, what Intercoin is, and what is kind of like our mission. All cryptos out there, they probably have a project, some they don't really have, but we really have a roadmap and plan to achieve that. And all of that you can find probably under intercoin.org/ I think it's like a whitelist, a roadmap. So there's a lot of information that we put out to the public to make sure that they really truly understand the mission and the goals that we as a team are really trying to advocate. So as a media director, one idea that we had was to start a show because we started noticing that there was a lot of scarcity when it comes to the information about the technology itself. So a lot of people really love the idea, love the passion, love the goals, but they really lack the information of actually understanding what it means, smart contract. What does it mean, the blockchain? How is it going to work for communities? So that's why we've made it as a mission to start this show and really have an open conversation with whoever joins to learn more about the technology itself, like how cryptocurrency works, news about cryptocurrency, how we see cryptocurrency changing the world and the blockchain technology as we know it. And we're really trying to bring other specialists, economists like Noam Chomsky, if you've seen previous videos on our YouTube channel, Thomas Greco, and a lot of other guests that we have upcoming to make sure that you really are not just like listening from us, but from experts and how they see the community tokens or the digital currency change the world as we know it. We once had the internet and everybody found it like laughable. People were like, what is this thing? But then we had phones. So everything is moving. So when there's something that is new, like blockchain technology, and it looks scary, that doesn't mean that you can ignore it. You have to be an advocate first or you'll be left behind. And that's why a lot of other crypto projects are succeeding right now. NFTs are succeeding right now, and so many more, because they have been not scared of the technology and they've really worked hard to implement and start being the first. So we're not just trying to be the first Google, but we're trying to have a bigger mission of helping communities globally and cities or nonprofits, universities. So really join our show, be part of the Making Crypto Go a movement or Go Mainstream movement, and really like start participating in sharing value to others. So you're not left alone and others are not left alone when it comes to understanding the whole technology and cryptocurrency community.
And so Marcy,
that's me.
That's awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about how you actually learned about Intercoin and where you came to reach out to us?
Yeah, so actually, me and my husband, we listened often to the Free Talk Live show. And I don't know how we came across it. I think you were a guest there or they mentioned, and this was like over a year and a half ago. And we really kind of like were intrigued because we listened to that show and there's a lot of other cryptos, but we really were intrigued on the aspect of the community, because I didn't even think that crypto can actually be used for communities. Like, you know, crypto as we know it, I thought was mainly for just like holding, investing. So I didn't know that you can actually use this technology to benefit communities, but communities that can be customizable and use it for their own benefits. So that's how, you know, I'm like, let me pick this guy and kind of like learn more about the project, because I really was intrigued. And, you know, one thing led to the other, and I really joined the team really soonly after we spoke. And, you know, I've been with the team since. And, you know, a lot of great things we've achieved when it comes to like the small investment that we've had from investors. We really like had a big ROI when it comes to like how much we have achieved so far in the one last year. So we're not really trying to just like push as other crypto projects or spam people, but we are actually taking more time to build the technology and make sure that when we launch, it's actually going to be the right technology and be easy accessible by communities, other than just pushing the name out there and, you know, having the what's the right word, Greg? Like having like speculations when it comes to like how much we think we're worth, because that's not what the project is all about.
Yeah, I think Intercoin is very big on community. It's very big on serving communities and giving them the tools. We feel that blockchain is actually a great technology that we could leverage, or even, I like to say, not just blockchain, but beyond blockchain, just distributed systems. And so if we can serve communities, there's so many of them, and they're willing to pay. They're willing to pay for a lot of things like voting, governance, having their own currency, having their own smart economies. And in fact, it's a funny world. It's a small world, because Free Talk Live used to be, I used to call into the show a long time, and they're very libertarian-minded over there, obviously. You know, it's the largest libertarian show in the United States, I think, by far. And they were the first to actually bring up Bitcoin. If you look at the man who introduced Roger Ver to Bitcoin, if people don't know, Roger Ver is the person who started Bitcoin Cash. Okay, and so Roger Ver, who essentially talks about Bitcoin Cash, promotes it, and if you know, it forked off from Bitcoin. That guy was pretty big in the crypto space. I think he was called Bitcoin Jesus back in the day. This guy, okay, would then be, I guess, he would basically be John the Baptist, I guess, in this analogy, because he kind of baptized the crypto Jesus into Bitcoin. He heard it first on the show, just like you, Marcy. But then Free Talk Live, I've been calling into the show talking about UBI. They didn't really like the idea of a UBI that's forcefully paid with taxes. And so it kind of shaped our vision of a UBI to be a UBI that was actually paid voluntarily in the community's own currency. Just like you go to a casino and you go ahead and you use chips, nobody forces you necessarily to do anything. but you use the chips to access a certain economy, and then that economy can have some taxes and some ways to redistribute some of the money to separate things. So perhaps, for example, the dealer takes a rake during your poker game, right? But you're voluntarily sitting down and playing the poker game. So all that money in these communities can be redistributed. But the point is that we, in turn, I had a company called Qbix, and Qbix builds the Qbix platform. The Qbix platform is essentially a technology like WordPress that helps to power social networks. So if you know, WordPress powers about 40% of all websites in the world. That's actually 40% powers. So almost 1 in 2, every second website is run on WordPress. And you know how many profiles there are out there. So Facebook.com, look at how many profiles are out there. Millions, billions, right? People are, but what are they all hosted on? They're hosted on these privately owned, maybe they're publicly traded, but they're kind of privately run, top-down organizations like Facebook. And each of these people, let's say this person right here, this gentleman, he has his own profile, but he is essentially manipulated by Facebook into doing certain things. You can see ads. It's certainly, like we've been talking about in previous shows, it's a feudal society. This is feudalism. Each of these people, whether you are a rabbi who's talking, it's talking about, for example, to your congregation, or you are just happen to be a person, all of it goes through their servers. Whereas this is the WordPress approach. This is what happens when people actually want to get together and voluntarily create. So I'm going to play this for you in a little bit, but I wanted to kind of say we use the platform to create actual communities. So compare that with the WordPress site. So Free Talk Live currently runs on a WordPress site over here, and it's pretty nice for publishing. It's still much better than having to pay a TV channel or cable channel or some sort of person to go ahead and some sort of organization, gatekeeper. Instead, Free Talk Live hosts its own thing on its own site with WordPress. But it's one directional, so they host, you listen.
For the several states. And I believe we
state for the state government.
Not to mention that these things are hosted by SoundCloud. But of course, we could take that same thing with Qbix and turn it into a social network. So not only can you play it,
so everybody,
but you can also share it on social media, like so. Right? And
Coming for you, Greg.
what's that?
I said they're coming for you.
They're coming.
As hearing the cops sirens.
Oh, the cops. Oh, yes. I couldn't turn that off with the notifications. Only the notifications. So yeah, also you've got these credits that you earn for listening to the show. So whether you listen on audio or video,
days where the real work is,
you can earn credits
they normally
for listening, which you can then use in all kinds of ways. And that's kind of the beginnings of Intercoin. Is like, hey, each website can have its own credit system. Instead of Patreon, each YouTube show can have its own credit system, which we'll get to. But what happened basically is that we created the Free Talk Live website, which is social. People can not just interact with content, but they can also interact with each other. They can also see who is a show host. They can see essentially their profile, who they are, what kind of libertarian they are, and so on. They could see if they have something in common, because guess what? I'm a celebrity too, apparently. So these are the things, mutual interests are highlighted. And if you like something they like, you can just click it and add that to your interests as well. You can keep in touch with people. And very importantly, you can start a conversation with them and even do video conferencing and audio. Same as what we're doing here, but you can actually do it on the show. So that's an example. For example, here, if you wanted to do a video, FaceTime camera, you could. So for example here, I guess, it's a little bit too high. Whatever. But that's the idea, is that we're able to, let me just, how do we... Oh, here we go. So you can basically have conversations right here on the page. You can have conversations that run on the software site as you do other things. Compare that to Facebook. You can have your own site, your own theme, your own credit system, your own community, your own video conferencing running on your site. You could even have people have their profiles. And of course, you can even collect money right through the site. So as people, for example, choose your platinum thing, they pay through the browser without having Facebook. You can choose your landlord at least. So that's what it means when you say communities. You can literally have any sort of interaction that you want, and we provide the software. So as you can imagine, they're willing to pay for this. So now I want to
seeing Greg a shift on the when it comes to the decentralized platform and creating like your own community, because with the recent events we have seen how a lot of even big influencers, they might just get completely banned from a social media platform for whatever reason, if it's political or they said something that I guess against the community guidelines of any platform. And again, I don't want to name names because I don't want to make it political, but what I've seen as a social media specialist has been like almost like the people are afraid that, hey, like all this amount of money and time and years on building this big community can go tomorrow with just one click. Like even if people that have big YouTube influencers, like they have a lot of influencer and community around them, they can just like end, because at the end of the day, they don't own YouTube, they don't own Facebook. So I think there's like a big almost like brand awareness in a way that people are kind of like realize like, hey, like I need to probably build something of my own on my own community, my own platform, that I can control what is allowed and what is not allowed. So, and also the data, so I don't have to deal with maybe one day if all my business, let's say if all the clients that I get is on Facebook and all my community is there, what happens if Facebook shuts you down? Like what happens? There's no one that you can just give a call or like someone that will respond to you live. Like that doesn't exist. And similar to YouTube, like I actually had an incident recently. One of my personal Instagram accounts for whatever reason just got deactivated. No notification, nothing. And this is an account that I had a lot of pictures, nothing. I didn't post anything like inappropriate, and I've been trying to retrieve for more than a month and a half, and nobody really responds to you. It's just like robots. I don't have someone to just like reach out and be like, hey, this is my community that I've worked hard to build, tell me what I did wrong, I'll fix it and let me reactivate it. And there's no one that you can respond. And what Qbix is building is literally this exact problem that all these big influencers are facing right now, with all the weird guidelines changing by day and by night. They want to make sure that maybe the community can be in one place and the community can be owned by them, and they can still communicate. There's no restrictions. And also, why not to have their own token on top of it, and have some type of rewards for the community to share the content or to engage or invite other members. So I think like eventually like communities and influencers and politicians are going to change from promoting on Facebook to promoting and building their own platform where people can come in. The only challenge right now is, how do you bring people in the first place? So that's why probably they might need to do PR and all that. But I think like, you're going the right track when it comes to like helping communities that direction, because maybe the demand is not there yet, but people have started to realize. So eventually the demand will be there and it'll be much higher than we thought.
Well, that's exactly. If you're an investor or you're someone who's an early entrepreneur and you see the demand coming, that's where the most money is to be made. And we're going to talk about the listing pretty soon for ITR, but I just want to first talk about the nature of investing, right? When you're investing, you typically do that because you think that in the future, whatever you're actually buying is going to be worth a lot more. And when investing into a project, you're basically talking about, you believe that whatever's being built, whether it's decentralized and doesn't have one group behind it, like WordPress, is now powered by multiple people and multiple organizations. That's an understatement. It's powered by thousands of hosts and you can choose anything. So whether you're investing in a decentralized system or whether you're investing in a project that's being started by a small team, you have to see what's coming. And that's what Steve Jobs did when he was going on the train and he saw all the people with the Walkman. Anybody remember that? Stacy, did you ever, you probably saw this, right? With the people at the Walkman back then, it's like very...
No, I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry.
All right.
I'm older than you guys.
So anyway, Sony Walkman, yes. This was a thing. and people were listening before the iPod. And so what happens is basically that there was a cassette tape player. Essentially, you had to rewind stuff. I don't know if anybody remembers this back in the day. And
so I should remember this is what you're saying.
yes, that's why I was talking about this. Sony Walkman was literally the most... here, I'll do this. This is why we do the live streaming on the show, because I love to use the browser. Instead of you looking at my face, although I totally understand why you'd want to look at my face, but I'd rather you look at the stuff we're talking about and see so much more on the internet. So Sony Walkman versus the iPod. Steve Jobs was talking about this. Basically, he was like, oh, everyone wants to... Sony was the consumer product company. Sony was a computer products company most admired by Steve Jobs. He wanted Apple to be the Sony of personal computers. What happened was very interesting is that basically, when you go on the train and you see all these people listening to music, but all they can do is basically rewind, and you can only have 12 songs and whatever. And he's like, we have a computer company. We can build a digital music player that you could put hundreds of songs at that time. And more importantly, you can skip to any one of them in an easy use interface. So easy, they just had a little wheel, okay? So this was the original iPod with the wheel. If anybody remembers this, it was like this, all right? So essentially what you would do is very easy interface, just a few buttons, and you can scroll through your songs. You can literally keep scrolling by moving your finger in a circular pattern. So this was a huge step up because he saw that people they want to listen to music, but the best thing they can do is have a cassette player, a bulky cassette player, which they have to essentially rewind, okay? So, or no, it was also a disc player. There was a Sony Discman later on instead of the Walkman, and essentially you probably could see this. Yep, it would take this with your thing onto the train. So what are the signs to look for if you think something is a good investment? Remember, what is a good investment is when the thing you're investing in has a lot more people using it in the future, and then later a lot more money coming. It's not always, the money doesn't always come right away. So like Twitter was worth $100 million, I think, on the market before it was even making any money at all. It wasn't even generating any revenue. I could be slightly wrong about that, but Facebook, Twitter, all these Web 2.0 companies, first they wanted to remove friction so people didn't pay for anything. It was completely free. And then they got all these users, and then they turned on the ads, which is now like literally, I'm sure this video will be monetized with ads. So like now the ads are ubiquitous and everywhere, but it wasn't always like this. So what are the signs to look for if you're looking for a good investment? Typically, you're looking for people to be using some clunky, outdated thing everywhere. That's the best they can do. They really want to listen to music because that's what they were trying to do 20 years ago. They were trying to listen to music, but this is the best they got. So if a technologist like Steve Jobs decides to step up, and at first it says he originally attempted to create the iTunes Music Store as a partnership with Sony, but Sony refused. So he had a deep respect for Sony and his power to influence the market. The thing is, though, that basically Steve Jobs released the iPod. And if you think about what led to the iPhone and all the stuff that happened afterwards, it was the extreme success of the iPod, which Microsoft tried to copy with the Zune. I don't know if anybody remembers the Zune. Probably not. Not that important. The Microsoft Zune. So anyway, it was a trendsetter. But the trend the demand needs to be there. The people, like you said, Marcy, might not be aware of the demand. And going back to what you said earlier, when we have I wanted to play a little clip. The little clip is what is the internet? So I find this to be funny that essentially people didn't know what the internet was, and a lot of the time, they were even confused. Here's 1994.
Back now at 56 past, I wasn't prepared to translate that as I was doing that little tease.
Oh, that's
that little mark with the A and then the ring around it.
At?
See, that's what I said.
Mm-hmm.
Katie said she thought it was about.
Yeah. Oh.
but I'd never heard it. I'd never heard it said. I'd always seen the mark, but never heard it said. And then it sounded stupid when I said it. Violence at NBC.
I heard you around big fight up in the lunchroom the other week.
There it is. Violence at NBC. GE.com. I mean,
well, Allison should know.
What is internet anyway?
Internet is that massive computer network, the one that's becoming really big now.
What do you mean? That's big. How does one? What do you write to it like mail?
No, a lot of people use it and communicate. I guess they can communicate with NBC writers and producers. Allison, can you explain what internet?
So I don't want this video to be flagged later if it has too much of the other video in it. But this is commentary. Look, this is fair use, I think. This is internet. What is internet? Can you explain internet? Oh, it's that network that's growing right now. Imagine how quaint this is looking back. It's only about 25 years ago, right? So quarter century.
Yeah, this was like the most epic one I've ever seen.
Right? I mean, that you think, oh, how can they not know what the internet is, right? But back then, the internet existed for 20 years, but it only had email, right? So the guy knows about email. Barely. You can write to it, he says. Is that what it is? Like, what can you do on this network? That was before all the applications started coming out. That was before the World Wide Web, which is what we're using here. Yeah, so basically, applications is what makes geeky stuff accessible to everybody. So today, if you talk to people that, go on the internet, you'd be shocked if there was like, what is internet? Right? But that's how people thought back then. And you could totally understand them. They're mainstream media personalities. And they're like, what is internet? And they're trying to discuss it.
That is?
No, she can't say anything in 10 seconds or less.
Oh, Allison will be in the studio shortly.
What does it
mean?
It's a giant computer network made up of, started from...
Oh, I thought you were going to tell us what this was.
It's like a computer billboard.
It's not in it.
Anyway, you get the point. Think about how people think about Intercoin today. What is Intercoin? I wonder if in the future they're going to say the Intercoin. Like they say get on the internet. They don't say get on internet, right? But 1994, the name was Internet, like ARPANET or that net. So today it's called Intercoin. So I think I'd be interested if like in 10 years from now, we know we've made it. They listen to this show and they're like, yeah, of course, the Intercoin. Are you on the Intercoin network? Are you on the Intercoin? And you're going to have a show. It's like, what is Intercoin? It's always a new thing that's growing really fast. Oh, I love this. This is going to be, Marcy, this has got to be our, we got to have this clip in our show. What is internet?
Stupid when I said it. Violence at NBC. E-com. I mean.
Here, this part. I love this part. Check this out.
Allison should know.
What is internet anyway?
Internet is that massive computer network, the one that's becoming really big now.
I love that. Intercoin is that massive payment network that's becoming really big now.
Okay, so for everybody that's watching and tuning into this, you are so early.
You are so early, exactly. These people were around in 1994. Internet started, when did the internet start? Origins. Remember, the internet was a movement. In the beginning, the internet had local networks. A country like France had something called Minitel. It was like the America Online. People called in, and they had the little thing, and they basically connected to a French statewide network, or they could like talk to people and stuff. 1980, okay. Finally, they had the Internet Protocol stack. Not Intercoin yet. Okay, Internet Protocol stack, which basically is HTTP, DNS. All this stuff is for the domains and the web. Under that, you have the transport of the messages, which you don't have to worry about too much, but that's where the money packets would go in. That's like the interledger protocol that they have and so on. Then you got the internet protocol, the TCP, IP, and all this network access, and the physical layer where you got your wires, okay? So one layer is building on another layer, but without applications like the web, like the one we see right here that's loading web pages, has become almost transparent and easy, but these web pages are written in HTML, and they essentially go over HTTP protocol, which has been around for a very long time. So just look at the HTTP protocol. It's designed for the web, and it goes over the internet. People think it's the same thing, the web, the internet. Actually, the internet is essentially the interconnected networks of local computer networks. And you can have computers listening for requests, like ads server to serve ads here, and the video server to serve that red video over here. And then you got the web server that serves the HTML text and the video and all that stuff using what is known as HTTP. So the HTTP protocol goes over the internet, just like the FTP protocol, and just like many others, including Bitcoin. And they essentially make all of this work, and we don't have to worry about how it works, right? So before I continue, I just wanted to kind of mention that Arietta is in the chat. And I've seen you here before, but I haven't ever brought you up. Arietta, if you want to come up and say a little bit about yourself and how you got started with Intercoin, that would be amazing. And tell us what you do for Intercoin, if you're here.
Hey, Greg, she's actually in the library. She just texted me, so she cannot really speak out loud. She's just listening in.
Library. Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, if anyone else wants to jump in, Kay, I know you for about, we met 3 years ago, I believe. You made the Intercoin presentations. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. How you doing, Greg? Nice to hear from you.
Yeah, nice to see you too, man. It's been a while. How's it going?
Yeah, it's been a while. Everything's going great. How about yourself?
Not bad, not bad. We've come a long way since you made that presentation, right?
I know. It looks great. Everything is going amazing. I'm seeing it.
Yep. Back then when Kay was making it, all we had was aspirational. Let me see if I can bring it up. Intercoin.org/presentation. So this has its origins like 3 years ago when all that we were doing was talking about what we're going to build. The crypto world's funny that way. You can pre-sell a lot of stuff before you even build it, which I guess startups do. But the crypto world takes it to new extremes. You can have like 1,000% appreciation before even the product comes out. Never mind the revenues, but the product comes out, and people are already speculating with the token because it's like so accessible now to have tokens. So it's a new world, but this is what we had. I kind of fixed up your presentation, Kay, a little bit from the past, but these are your diagrams from like way long ago. Remember these?
Yeah, I remember these. Yeah.
Right? So it's like, what is internet? You see that? 1994? What is internet? So we're going to try to help them to figure out what is Intercoin. All right, so what is Intercoin, first of all? Intercoin is when you see all those Qbix platform communities, for example, the local networks that run their own Qbix stuff, right? And then you can interconnect them into its own network. But it doesn't have to be Qbix. It can be WordPress. It can be whatever. Just as long as you've got that local, that local credit system, right? Whether you buy the credits, whether you earn the credits for listening to the show. Either way, you go ahead and you get the credits, and then you have the internal economy. Like maybe you want to become a moderator. Maybe you want to become an important person. Maybe you want to start your own show, right? So you can, all of this you can do. So basically, we've already got the software to do all this, but we need to present it better. So you can invite friends and earn credits when people join. So when you have your invite link and then you paste it and people follow this link, this token is going to act, this right here, I know the word token, okay, this ID is going to track who invited whom. And when we go to Telegram, we're soon going to allow any Telegram channel to have a bot to track who invited whom, and we can airdrop sort of tokens to them, worthless tokens that are kind of like these credits here, that are not necessarily exchangeable for anything, because we don't want necessarily to deal with FinCEN or anything like that, even though it's tiny amounts. But then the project can look at how the balance is, what kind of tokens you have, how much credits you have, and can airdrop you their tokens if they decide to do so. So you can either purchase credits or you can earn credits, but either way, credits can be used. So local communities can use their credits in all kinds of ways. Like, for example, you've got a chess club. Perhaps you want to wager credits in tournaments to win more credits. Perhaps you can earn credits by being like a really great teacher of chess, and you can get paid in the chess club's credits. You can have an internal economy just around chess. And you can You can subsidize rising stars in chess with scholarships that are paid to the teachers. And then the teachers need to cash out. So what happens when people cash out through Intercoin? What happens is that there is essentially a lot of reserves here in the Intercoin system. And the reserves are here when the community, say the chess community, buys some Intercoin and puts it on reserve. So the smart contract takes care of that automatically. It's being designed to do that automatically. Since Intercoin, the goal is to make it trade against dollars, euros, and bitcoins, right? All kinds of exchanges. Intercoin provides a gateway for chess coins or Miami coin or anything to actually quickly move in and out of dollars. Of course, there is slippage, and the chess community might put a tax on selling your coins back to the smart contract and going through this gateway to get dollars. You don't have to do that. You can also go and trade your chess coins on secondary exchanges. So to give another example, when you go on a cruise ship, right? Cruise ship onboard credit. There's probably a thing like that. There we go. Credit. So you go on a cruise ship and maybe you'd like to, they give you some onboard credit. Oh, this is Norwegian, pretty sure, because I love to go on those. Yeah, there we go. Norwegian Gateway. So onboard credit, how do you spend it? So typically they give you these promotions that if you go ahead and buy your tickets, they'll give you onboard credit for all kinds of things. You can go to the local restaurants. You can go to local shows. You can go on excursions. Maybe you can, if you get a nice suite, you can get free Wi-Fi. My personal favorite because I needed it and it's really slow on a ship. But here's the point. The ship is an amazing example of a isolated community with no internet at all, necessarily. Most people are disconnected from the internet for about 7 days, and yet they can still meet each other, and they can have all the interactions that you see here running on local servers. Try doing that with Facebook. Facebook servers are the only ways that you can access the network. There's no way you can have a copy of Facebook locally on board the ship. But here, you can have to see the local schedule of local events happening on the ship. Then you can go ahead and you can join them. Once you join an event, like for example, I don't know, some event, you can just invite people to it, including your contacts, including people that you might know. And then once you invite them, you can meet them for dinner. Once you've met them for dinner, maybe met someone new, you can add them to your contacts for all kinds of relationships. And then the site can help you build those relationships, whether it leads to a deal or leads to a marriage or something like that. So, or budding friendship, or maybe some other relationship type that you don't even know, maybe like a student, or a mentor. Anyway, so that is the difference between how local networks can operate and networks that rely on fast broadband connections to their servers and lock you in. So, okay, so the cruise ship, let's go back to it. So you got this onboard credit. You can use your onboard credit at local, all kinds of excursions and things like that. But then when you leave the ship, you have some credit left over. And this is called breakage. Breakage is basically where, Groupon, let's say, or whatever. Maybe it's not the best terms. Oh, here we go. If a Groupon is not redeemed, Groupon gets to keep the money. Breakage is considered to be 20 to 25% of Groupon's purchases. In other words, if you don't use it, you lose it. Well, with Intercoin, you don't have to lose it. But the ship can buy it back for 70 cents on the dollar, for example, or 90 cents, or whatever you want. The ship could have its own policy. And if you don't like that, then you can go ahead and try to sell the thing to other people. That's really the important thing about Intercoin, is that it lets each community have its own policy, whether you have a YouTube channel, whether you have a Reddit forum, or whether you have a cruise ship. You get your own currency. We help you to distribute it and integrate it into your purchase system, or just airdrop it to people. Maybe they win it on a contest on the ship, or maybe you have a universal basic income where everybody gets a little bit on the ship. That's kind of cool. You wake up and you have some credits you could use for certain little things, and then you wind up getting a discount, but you have to spend more money to actually get those things. But you get a nice, maybe food credit or this and that. Then you set up the payouts to vendors. This is all the people on your ship, all the little restaurants and themed restaurants. If they don't accept your credit, your coin, maybe you can say you won't renew their contract for next year. Maybe your mall can put in a new store and doesn't accept the mall's currency. Or if you don't want to be that heavy-handed, just inform them that your customers will have these credits, and their credits can be cashed out. And if they don't accept them, then their competitors will accept them. So that might be just enough incentive for them to do so. Then they start to create liquidity. This means people can go ahead and buy the credits and sell the credits through an exchange. If you do it through the community itself, then you're going to lose 10%. So this encourages everyone to essentially go out and try to recruit others to get the ship's coin. So real example, suppose you went to the ship, you went on board the ship, you had a great 7 days, you come back and you still have $100 of ship coin. Are you going to just book another cruise to use your ship coin? Maybe. That's another way the ship can get you back. Otherwise, what you can do is try to find somebody else to take the $100 of ship coin off your hands for $50. And that's a discount, but you get $50 in your hand, and that other person is going to have to go to the ship, and that is how everyone tries to recruit others to accept the currency. So in a way, the currency is a magnet that once people leave your thing and they have a bunch left, they're going to try to recruit others. So let me ask you, have you ever, like in your experience, have you had PayPal and you've ever told someone like, hey, can I pay you using PayPal? And they say, I don't have PayPal. And you told them, can you please install PayPal or Venmo or whatever you have so I can pay you in it? Have you ever done that?
I know you have said that to me.
I've certainly done it. I've tried to get you to get Intercoin. I've got you to get Ethereum and USDC. And there's so many gateways I taught you about that. But how about you? Have you ever like told people, hey, can I pay you with Bitcoin? Hey, can I pay you with Ethereum or something like that?
I have not, because, I usually know more or less which people like usually use crypto, because, the people that I work with, I usually know. But yeah, is a good way to, have it like, at least like, I don't know if you want to share it publicly, but to tell a customer, by the way, you can pay me with BTC or whatever they want, like as long as there's a type of payment that, I can use it as a method of payment for my business, why not?
Well, yeah, that's what Intercoin's all about. You got to pay it, check it, cash it out. But no, it's interesting. So you've never tried to get a person who previously did not accept crypto to accept crypto?
I'm paying a friend with crypto who's doing some work in my house.
Like I could tell you, the only reason crypto is so big is because someone got you into crypto. Somebody made you install that wallet and accept this funny money that, is now people have confidence in, right? It wasn't always the case. Remember 2013, 2014, if I was to pay you in Ethereum, most people in the world would be like, nah, man, I don't want no Ethereum. I don't know what that is. I just want to get dollars, maybe pay me a Bitcoin, but I'm not taking no Ethereum, right? And today, if I paid you in Ethereum, you'd be happy. You'd be like, oh, it could actually go up in the next few years. So I'm not even going to cash it out. Stacy, what's your, how did you get into crypto? Did people try to pay you and tell you download a wallet? Did that ever happen with XRP or any of these other wallets?
No, but I do, wherever I go, I do ask people, even though I know the answer, just because it starts a conversation myself. But generally the answer is no. But what I do with friends is I'll have them open a wallet and then I'll just send them a little bit. Because I think once you, especially if you've never really had it in your possession before, once you have even just a little bit, it's kind of empowering. And generally a lot of people that I've done that with have started purchasing little amounts, so that's kind of how I've done it.
Yeah, that's what it takes. The little amounts is my favorite because it means people are actually, it's people on the ground. It's not like giant pools of capital and one person decides to invest that capital in something, but it's people from the bottom up deciding. That's why I like about UBI too. It's like, hey, you give everyone a little bit and they decide and they vote with their wallet. Okay, I'm going to buy some food today. Oh, I'm going to buy some books for my kids. I'm going to do this. And then the community can almost see like, okay, here's how the money was actually spent. Some people went to the bookstore, so they must have bought books. Some people went to the food store, so they must have bought food. And so they can almost see like, oh, the UBI is being spent in this manner. And, I guess food is a really popular thing. It looks like most people are spending their UBI on necessities like that. So that's really cool. If you tag other luxury items and you see like, oh, people are spending UBI on luxuries, screw that. Like, I think we're giving too much UBI if that's the case. Or you could identify certain sectors like, oh, these people are spending it on luxuries. So clearly that's not, we gotta like maybe restrict it as a community that you can't spend your tokens at these stores or something like that. But anyways, all of that is possible, but first you got to have your own currency to do so. So Intercoin is all about helping communities to achieve that, because it's like sort of like with the Walkman. People want to listen to songs, right? And Stacy, like if you talk to pretty much any community and you said to them, hey, do you want to have your own community app? Do you want to have your own community like credits? What would they say to you? Like realistically, what is the response?
If they're into crypto, they would probably get it. If they're not into crypto, it would be like I would have to like lie it out for them and like show them what has been done previously. Like I'd have to show them like Free Talk Live or something like that to actually explain. And I guess it depends too on how people learn. Like myself, if I was not into crypto, I would need somebody to show me.
Yep. And what people didn't know what the internet was in the day and the web, but now they know. And so my question is, what if you came to them and you said, do you want to turn your website into a social community network? What do you think they would say to that? Having people connect and around your content and connect your if you came to a celebrity and you said, hey, would you like your friends to connect and share your stuff on your site rather than on your Instagram page? What do you feel like they would say to that?
Yeah, I think as long as they have an understanding, basically it would go back to what Marcy said is, like the freedom of being able to say and do what you want and not have to worry about being shut down. So basically anyone that has that mindset would definitely be down with that, I would think.
I think so. I think this is the gateway, and this is our secret weapon, is being able to have your own community. And then once you've got your own community, then payment network's just a step away. I think that's really big, because the messenger and the stuff that you do here in messages, what happens is, let's just pick this as an example. The messengers all have this option to go ahead and pay. Okay, not many people know this or use it, but millions of people do from time to time use it. When something's all about it, like Venmo, they know it's there. But when something's not really totally about it, it's essentially messengers. They might not realize, but it's there. WeChat, everybody knows, started as a social network. So WeChat, actually really important. Wikipedia. Okay, so basically WeChat originally started as a social network, instant messaging, social media, and then became a mobile payment network later. It's developed by Tencent together with Alipay and Alibaba. So what happened was WeChat is now an app for everything, super app, because essentially it's able to incorporate everything in it. But of course, it's completely centralized. So they control what can be in there, and they control the payments, and they control everything, and they work with the Chinese government. User activity on WeChat is analyzed, tracked, and shared with the Chinese authorities upon request as part of a mass surveillance network in China. So WeChat censors politically sensitive topics. Data is transmitted by accounts registered outside of China, is surveilled, analyzed, and used to build up censorship algorithms. So as you can see, you get the bad with the good. Or you should say, this is why we can't have nice things. Because if the nice things are centralized, somebody else on the other side wants to have a piece. And with Qbix, we liberate you. We literally liberate you from the feudalism that you have. And we blog about it and we write about it because we're passionate about it. From digital feudalism to a free market. So this is what, and we've been doing this, Qbix, power to the people. We've been talking about this for years. Just to flaunt my bona fides for a second, 2017, we were talking about net neutrality. We were talking about the people building their own communities, Software Unite communities. And this is when we were talking about Intercoin. It was just a gleam in my eye. Here, the Intercoin project. Starting 17, we launched a spin-off company called Intercoin, where Qbix focuses on social networking. The Intercoin project focuses on building the infrastructure to run a secure and resilient payment network. Similar to Facebook and Gmail, PayPal, and Stripe, we would implement buttons that app developers and publishers could easily add seamless. Basically, everything we've said we're going to do. I just want to go back even further just to show you something cool. Bitcoin. Okay, this was site Magarshak.com. Oh, come on. Okay, Magarshak.com is my site. And you talk about, it has me as a piano player, it has all kinds of things. But if you go back, and you go really back, sorry, this is an old WordPress installation. I'm not sure how to do this faster. There's a lot of things I used to talk about in 2012 and so on. But one of them was Bitcoin. So 2012, I'm talking about how identity can be tied to having a bunch of Bitcoins or other things based on solving mathematical problems. And also, if you go ahead and look at me talking about Bitcoin the following year, 2013, there was a question of whether Bitcoin had real value and was it a bubble? A lot of people, I wonder if this post is still up there. Probably not. No, it's still there. 2013. So about 2011, I discovered Bitcoin. 2012, I talk about it. 2013, I conclude that, yes, this is real value, having essentially no reversals, no chargebacks, no inflation, no nothing. But these are just the beginning. This is just the beginning. This is something called Metcalfe's law, which says that if your network grows, the value of the network grows faster than linear. So just if your network doubles in size, the value to each participant doesn't just double. But Metcalfe's law is a little bit too optimistic. It says that the value to each participant is equal to n squared, because it's essentially n participants. I'm sorry, the value to each participant is n, because there's n minus one other people, and the number of participants is n, so it considers that the value of the network grows as n squared. So a network of 5 people is 25 times less valuable than a network of 25 people. In my experience, I found this to be too much optimistic. So this is talking about fax machines or telephone. The more people have a telephone, the more it is. It seems to be more like n log n. In other words, the logarithm of 1,000 is something like 10. Like 2 to the power of 10. Basically, and so 1,000 times 1,000 is 1,000,000, okay, but the logarithm is 20. In other words, I wouldn't say that it's n participants, that's true, but for each participant, the value increases as a log n, and there's diminishing returns. So as the network gets bigger and bigger, it's not like you derive value from like contacting everyone in it, but only like, sort of a much smaller number, like 10 or 20 people. But as the order of magnitude grows, the log n grows by 1. So that's sort of like n log n is probably pretty good. Still, as an Intercoin network grows, as more communities join, the value should grow. And that's when we get to investing. So before I get to all of this, I just want to kind of quickly play for you the difference that the Qbix platform makes, and investing in the Qbix platform, which, by the way, since we're talking about this, we're going to be doing WeFunder, the largest crowdfunding platform on the internet, or one of the largest, tied for first or whatever, has accepted Qbix to be doing, follow Qbix to be notified when they later decide to raise funding. Literally, we could do what's called test the waters. So if we look at, we've met with Tim Berners-Lee, the inventor of the World Wide Web. This is myself. This is Zach, my co-founder. You guys have not seen this, actually. So this is actually, like I said, this is not going to sound very humble, but I'm too humble. my tendency is to not talk about, because I've been doing so many things, and I've met so many of these people, not just Noam Chomsky. I mean, this guy was in MIT in the other building across from Noam Chomsky. So when we met Noam Chomsky, we actually met him at the same time. This guy is the lead developer on his project. He left MIT and started Inrupt. You probably all know Tim Berners-Lee. He's the guy who talking about the New York Times about the web and how it lost its way. I invented the World Wide Web, how to fix it, okay? November 29th, 2019. And he's talking about how the web has lost its way, and he later on started a company called Inrupt and raised $40 million at this point. We at Qbix started in 2011. We raised only around less than $1 million, and we've made revenues that exceed that, and we've built much more, I dare to say, than Inrupt, because they started only a couple of years ago. But back in 2014, I think, which is when this picture was taken, these guys were just starting. So this guy is a lead developer. He helped to build he helped to organize the digital ID, or DID, decentralized ID that is used now. DID identifiers are like the standard for all these things. And this is also a developer on the project. But when Tim Berners-Lee was writing these things and publishing in New York Times, I'm also proud to say that Cointelegraph, I got published in Cointelegraph writing about this a month earlier, 2019, talking about how the web has been a huge driver of economic technological innovation. But, it's all become very, very centralized. And so essentially we need to decentralize this. So we're all the content creators, digital serfs, essentially. This article was partially ghost written by a PR company back in the day, but yep, it's on there. And like I said, there's also a movement to decentralize the web, and we need to work all together. So going back to this, Qbix has been at this for a while. Now Qbix is raising money. Qbix is going to be doing a crowdfund in the future, and we're going to be doing something called Test the Waters. This is important for Intercoin as well. So this is where we start with the regulations, and we also have a video on regulations on the Intercoin channel. I apologize. This is maybe important. Sarah Hanks, former regulator at the SEC. We have an interview with her where we go into the nitty-gritty of what can issuers actually sell if they do issue securities, and how can they sell to U.S. people, can they sell to non-U.S. people. Marcy helped to, and her team as well, with Arietta on her team,
Once you've decided,
helped to both produce this video, right, recut it, and this is what you guys do for all our videos, right? Marcy, maybe you could talk a little bit about how you create these videos, and what is the process, essentially, of putting something like this together?
So usually, like, the original video looks like really, a plain Zoom recording. So there's a lot of green screening involved. If you remember, actually, on that particular video, you had a green screen on your back. So we make sure that we're adding, the elements of every single sequence that you see. There's this green screen involved. So every time you see a new sequence, it's like a green screen that is edited. And they are... So we add like important pop-out text to make it more, for any important topics to be the pop-out text so people know like the main subject that we're talking about. But also by adding the timelines on the description, it makes it easier for people to go exactly to the topic they're more interested to know more. So if you go on YouTube channel, for example, all our videos have some type of timeline where we talk about each subject with a second so they can go directly there. So it just makes it easier for the viewers to like follow through.
Yeah, if you go to the actual video here and you go to the description, it has to be very helpful. Just like everything we do, it has to be helpful. So basically, I think, you can actually look at the topics that were featured, and you can just jump directly to the to the topic.
So this is like the full video. That's why we have also the common videos that goes with it. But we usually like a full interview or like this show, we cut it on different clips because we talk about different topics. And I think it makes it easier for people to view topics individually rather than watching like a 2-hour interview or 1 hour. The other thing that we do is like we try to see what's trending and how you can make the title SEO friendly if someone is searching for a specific topic, but also including the right hashtags and tags. So like other people that maybe are not really searching for that, but I saw as a suggested video, how can we show up as a suggested video? So all of this, like we're doing organic. And I know recently we haven't posted a lot of videos because we're really focused on, you know, like the projects that we're working right now, like launching on Exmarkets and more. But usually the key with YouTube is to have consistency and have like relevancy. So the more relevant topics you're posting to your audience and what they want to hear, the better views you usually get.
And that's, you know, this show is part of Intercoin's sort of growing umbrella of things. And that's why, Stacy, you know, we've been sort of growing out the show, the idea of an Intercoin show, because this interview is one of the sort of facets, right? This person, Sarah Hanks, she used to work at the SEC and actually write Regulation S, the very thing that we talk about when we talk about selling to non-US investors, for example. We talk about crypto, we talk about how to raise money, which is now going to be important when we talk about how to invest in crypto and how to raise money with crypto if you're an entrepreneur. But like everything about it, right? These are Intercoin's not just about the technology, which a lot of people think. Because other projects are so limited, some projects have absolutely nothing, like CityCoin, or I shouldn't say nothing, but like they have only the picture of the dog, okay? And then other people step up and try to accept Shiba Coin for whatever they do, which is cool. But, you know, all it is at the end of the day is just a branded currency. Whereas with Intercoin, it's literally a project to help communities develop. It's almost like the computing revolution, giving everyone a personal computer. You know, it's creating the internet. So it can't get much bigger than that. And with Qbix having the foundation, we can do that. But we talk about not just technology. We talk about the applications of the technology. We talk about the economics behind it. And we talk to regulators because it's important also to understand how things happen. Because if we don't do this, then we have essentially... like the Telegram fiasco, where Telegram is a huge social network, but it failed to release its own token. And that's just not me saying it. That's Pavel Durov, the founder of Telegram. I'm going to go to Dubai, and I'm planning to go to Dubai in a month and maybe meet Pavel Durov. We'll see. Like, there's a bunch of people I want to meet there. But you know, I have a lot of respect to what he did. Telegram is one of the freest, most resilient social networks. Actually, we're using it right now, and I would say it's rock solid. I think Twitter still has to catch up and play a lot of catch up, whereas these guys were able to do it with a small team, but they got banned, according to himself. Some of our best engineers have been working on a next-gen platform called TON, and a cryptocurrency we were going to name Gram. You know, just by the way, just that first sentence, I already see one major problem here. Blockchain platform and cryptocurrency. Okay, blockchain is not the best technology for cryptocurrency. We'll talk about that some other time when we have the tech people on here and we interview them. But the idea is that blockchain collects all transactions in one spot, needs the miner to put them into a block, and that's why the fees on Uniswap are currently so expensive. And it's not just Uniswap, it's also the OpenSea and the NFT platforms. Everyone is sharing the same network, and everyone has to squeeze through that tiny bottleneck. So gas, okay, we've got gas, Ethereum price chart. And what is the current price right now? It's around 184. Let's just say it's some of the highest that it's been in a long time. Have you tried, Marcy, to do any sort of swap on Uniswap? Have you tried to at least convert your ITR tokens into the unlocked ITR, the official ITR?
No, I actually haven't done that yet.
Okay.
I was waiting to see what's happening.
Are you by any chance also waiting for the gas price to drop?
Yes. That's also a big reason. But also like I know like the project is not done on building, so I don't want to sell my ITRs when I know that we can sell them for more in the future, or maybe not even sell them but hold them, because we have seen what is happening with a lot of other crypto. You think like they're growing, you think that's their limit, and you sell them, and then eventually you're like, oh shoot, like look at Ethereum now, or look at Bitcoin now. Funny thing is, like, because I didn't want to interrupt you earlier, but on a conference, I think back in 2013, where also like Free Talk Live, I think was still around. We were in a conference with my husband, and someone at that time mentioned Bitcoin, and they were talking about how it's the new technology and the new thing, and they were offering us to buy it. I think it was like $20, believe it or not.
Yeah, I believe it.
And my husband was like, "This is such a scam! Like these people are trying to scam us." And like we have like so regretted ever since. I'm like, if we just like did our research, if we just like digged a little bit deeper and understand the technology behind it before we started, like just something that is scary and is not knowable, it shouldn't be scary. You should still dig and truly understand yourself, and maybe like be part of the shows that we're doing right now to understand the technology and the power of it. But also like when it comes to the investment part, we probably I would not be here. Let's put it that way. I would have been probably vacationing somewhere.
Well, I'm glad you're here with us, Marcy, because
Yeah.
and I'm glad you're saying that you don't want to sell the intercoins, because you're absolutely right. Given our roadmap and given what we're going to do, I mean, if you've held this far just to sell now, you're probably not, it's irrational in my opinion. But of course, some people want to sell out something a little bit, and we'll talk about what that means and how it works when we do the token launch. We're going to get to that in a second. I just want to talk about how here we've got the the communities around the world. We have the user base. We have the technology, which I've shown you, which is this stuff. It's not like a company that just has a story and we're going to like do all this stuff, which is for the most part, like if you go to anything like Hoj Finance, or I don't know, that turned out to be interesting, got took over by the community. A lot of these projects, they have great visuals, and they try to tell you that they're going to like do this and do that, and they get into Bloomberg. But what do they really do? Like all they do is redistribute money from buyers to sellers. And Bloomberg has a lot of ads, I guess. But PR Newswire, you see, they kind of we should be doing this. We should be getting into Bloomberg with the PR Newswire and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, we have an actual, like, here's what we've done, right? March 2020, we started the Intercoin community, right? August 2020, we launched the Intercoin channel. We can hear you typing, by the way, just so you know. 1 second. December 2020, we open sourced our code on GitHub, right? So a lot of our investors are like, where's the code? Where's the code? You guys aren't doing anything. Some people were worried. Then we showed up with the code, and they were like, oh my God, because the amount of code, the amount of solutions and applications is probably more than any other project. I mean, literally go to the GitHub of any other project. Do they have all these applications, right? So then we have the Intercoin applications, which are going to be coming out. That's the very next thing. So the kind of applications we want is communities to launch their own governance, their own currency, start paying people out, gathering statistics. Of course, all of this will not be launched on day one, but here's our next roadmap. Exchanges started listing the Intercoin token. That's what we're going to talk about. Then we're going to launch the Intercoin app. That's where the fun begins. Intercoin NFT mix marketplace. When we talk about NFTs, we got to bring Danielle on here, Stacy. We're going to talk about NFTs in a couple weeks. All right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, she'll be ready. She's in New York right now, so anytime soon.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we should grab a drink here while she's in New York. Is she in New York for a long time?
You actually, she's there for a few more days. You should connect with her.
Oh, please connect me. I'm in Manhattan later today and the rest of the week. All right, then we got the community pilot projects. That's when the rocket starts going up. Intercoin cross-chain trading. We got grants to build gateways to all these other networks that want to have it. And this, Stacy, this might be exciting for you. You didn't know this, but Stacks, I think you were excited by this post, right? I found out, and I was extremely excited to know that CityCoins is no longer a competitor to us, because we can actually get the CityCoins to be bridged to Intercoin. So let them actually get adoption of CityCoins, and then what's going to happen is all those CityCoins that were minted for Miami and other cities will be able to bridge into the Intercoin ecosystem, whereas Stacks has no applications and nothing really you could do with those coins, right? Intercoin has all these applications that I was showing you, like the UBI and everything. So imagine if we can bridge from those, let them do all the work and get New York City Coin on board, and that's great. And then we're pretty much one step away from coming to the mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, who was elected, and saying, hey, you have these city coins. Let's say he goes with city coins, right? With the same as Suarez. We say, okay, we deploy this network, and now any city vendor, including the hot dog vendors potentially on this corner, they can accept payments using New York City Coin. We're going to be your payment processor, or one of them, right? And you can use the Intercoin network with your City Coin, and we'll bridge everything to our network. So what do you think of that? Stacy, by the way, I haven't given you much time to talk, so I'd love for your thoughts on this, and in general, like the cross-chain trading and the community pilot projects. I think that's February, March. This is what investors have to look forward to as part of the roadmap. Like, what is your feeling about City Coins and kind of getting Intercoin to be a collaborator rather than a competitor to them? Did I lose you? Oh, your mic is muted. Sorry. Oh, I think she walked away. Is anybody here?
Yes, we can hear you, Greg.
All right.
Yeah, you're fine.
Maybe I kick it over to you guys. What would you say? I don't want to direct the mic. Go ahead. What would you say about City Coins and Intercoin being interoperable with them? Elena? Sorry, I guess I should be clear. Elena, what do you want to talk about?
Yes. We actually have few investors in the room here, and I would be happy to hear their opinion about Intercoin and what they can do with the Intercoin, because they are very interested to hold the token. We already today chatted in the room about long term for Intercoin. If they can say something about it.
Does anybody want to speak up? From
Sorry, my mic's working again. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. We thought you had disappeared. Well, Asan, you invested in Intercoin already, right?
Hi, yeah, Greg, yeah. I'm still it. I'm gonna hold this for a long time. Sorry, I'm just driving, so I just joined like 2 minutes ago. I wasn't in the middle of the conversation, you guys, so I just joined, and then I'm just, listening now.
No worries. So Asan,
I was like asking like yesterday, like how's the staking gonna work? So I would just stake it or even like a liquidity pool or something. So because I'm gonna just like hold my coin for a long time, so I'd rather get something, like make something on the side too as a passive income.
Oh, fantastic. That's coming, my friend. Actually, I should maybe put the staking in here. But I didn't even consider that to be on the roadmap because it's coming out actually later this month. But absolutely, we should put that. So if everybody looking here can look at the tokenomics, we're going to get into the investing part of this in a minute. because I think the Intercoin launch and the investment part is what right now we're really talking about. But I really just wanted to, as you could see, there's so much going on, and I'm so passionate about serving the customer, which is to say the community, and we have all this software that we build, that my mindset is like a capitalist mindset of serving a customer, and there's another capitalist mindset of investing in someone who is serving future customers, and we're going to get to that in a second. But before we do that, just one last thing about communities. So Stacy, what's kind of like your feeling? Because I know that you just discovered this like a couple days ago I discovered this a couple days ago and I posted it and I was like, oh, we could actually bridge to the CityCoins, which means we don't need anyone's permission to launch and have the UBI work and everything like that. We can get through almost like the back door. Even if the mayor is not even on board with it, we could just let the people bridge their CityCoins. So like, what do you think in general the roadmap could be? Like,
No, I think it's huge. And like, I remember when I first started Intercoin, I remember several discussions I've had with you, and I said, you know, Greg, like it's going to happen. I know that's the end goal. I know we're going to get our CityCoins, but we're like a year or two away from this. And then boom, I was wrong.
Stacy, can you please move your mic closer? We cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can't hear anything.
Yeah, Stacy, just you had it for a second and then it went away again. Can you
Okay, I can start over. Just like I remember like when I first started with Intercoin. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
When I had first started with Intercoin, I remember having a couple more than one conversation with Greg saying, Greg, CityCoin is going to happen. Like, it's not that it's not going to happen. It's definitely the end goal, but I said, this is something that's a year or two away. And then just out of nowhere, boom, Miami coin comes out. And I was like, wow, I was wrong. So now, you know, when we stumbled across that the other day, and me and you talked about that, like, that's like a huge game changer for us. Like, we could let them do all the heavy duty work, right? And this gives us the ability just to jump in and actually, you know, use these applications. And yeah, this is a huge game changer.
It is. And you know, I sometimes talk about, this would be a good segue into the investor part. Basically, I was talking about how society can organize itself and how capitalism right now is the prevailing sort of thing and encompasses so many things. Capitalism can mean serving your customers, but capitalism can also mean investing in certain assets. And a lot of the venture capitalists that I talk to, like Albert Wenger, even write these books. It's not me, it's people like World After Capital, like how do computers change capital? And it turns out that having we talked about this in the last show, having the marginal propensity, the marginal cost of each new copy is so cheap that we need to create artificial scarcity, like we're doing with NFTs or we're doing with the metaverse. We're trying to create artificial scarcity, which we don't have, for example, in other metaverses what was that? When you build out of blocks and Minecraft, everybody can create their own metaverse. There's not the metaverse, and you basically can play with people and build stuff and so on. So a lot of the questions about scarcity and about how we build stuff are being rethought, and that's really cool. That's why UBI, for example, is interesting, laying a foundation. We're talking to, finally, I was introduced to Michael Tubbs, the guy from Mayors for a Guaranteed Income, and that this guy who started it all. We're talking, and we might start to talk to these cities that way. Okay, so some of the cities already have a UBI pilot. It's always a pilot. The U doesn't stand for universal; it stands for unconditional in these pilots, and so some of them have yet to start, like Atlanta, Georgia, and I think we should absolutely approach Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms. Keisha to talk about how maybe we could do a universal UBI. Maybe she could be a red thing over here or a green thing. Probably green is better. And talk about how she could be the first actual UBI if she has her own coin. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So CityCoins. Okay, so we're talking about, do we have to have competition? And there's a question about whether competition is the best way to produce something. So in capitalism, of course, having competing entities is good. Often they have underhanded tricks of how to compete. Often they, pull dirty tricks. But sometimes they can also collaborate. So an example of collaboration, which we were talking about last time, was Wikipedia, where a bunch of people just go ahead and collaborate. There's no celebrities. There's no person tweeting with 5 million followers. Each of these things, let's take a random article, any article, has a bunch of people in the background collaborating and producing a document with all these people, sometimes unsigned comment, sometimes people have a username, and you could see what they're doing. This kind of collaboration produces things like Linux, the World Wide Web, and many other things. Collaboration can be really good in that you're not fighting other people and duplicating their efforts and wasting a lot of time, but you're actually taking code, like on GitHub, where you take other people's code and you can collaborate, and then you can contribute the code back to those people. That's what Intercoin and the ethos of open source software is all about. We create something, and we would like to have other people use our innovations. So the question is, if CityCoins can go ahead and try to CityCoins is based on block stacks, and block stack doesn't really have much to do with Bitcoin, as they say. A lot of it is sort of marketing. But if they can do the marketing and they can get the cities to accept the coins, then we can provide the applications and we can pull people over the way it works. So there's a bit of a competition there. There's a bit of collaboration there. One quick example of competition, we have SushiSwap. Does everybody know how SushiSwap started with the vampire attack, getting the users of Uniswap? All right, so this would be classic, the classic competition, almost underhanded competition. So the way it works is the LP tokens that Uniswap gives out are completely free and unrestricted to trade. So what happened was SushiSwap is a fork or copy of Uniswap launched by an anonymous person, and then what they've done is essentially they took a lot of the liquidity from Uniswap by providing some incentives. So if Intercoin is taking CityCoins, which is also supposed to be open, right, and owned by people, and they decide what to do with their CityCoin, they could actually go ahead and move their CityCoin into the Intercoin network. And if we make that on-ramp totally seamless and quick and easy, you just scan your CityCoins stacks address, and all of a sudden you have Intercoins the value is transferred, let's just say, or traded. That could become a game changer. In a way, we could think of Intercoin as reaching out and embracing CityCoins into its network. So that's another way of thinking about it. All right, let's finally turn to investing. So, Asan, are you still here? Let me know if you're able to speak, because I wanted to ask you a couple questions when you invested in Intercoin. Asan. All right, sorry. I didn't lose you guys, right? You still there?
Greg, I'm not sure if Greg knows his mic is off.
Wait, this entire time my mic was off? This entire time?
Like
no, not the entire time.
Just
30 seconds.
10 seconds.
No, just like after investing part you said.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, Asan, I wanted to ask you a couple questions about an existing investor, and then maybe Roberto or other people are here. I'd love to ask your perspective. By the way, Elena, Norman, if you guys are able to pop into the channel periodically and invite people to join the AMA, that would be awesome.
Exactly what I'm doing, Greg, now. Yes.
Yes, please. So, Asan, how did you hear about Intercoin? And what made you decide to invest in the project?
Oh, we had a group with some friends. We never met. We just met on Telegram channels, and we were doing some Ethereum, like some shit coin together, to be honest. And then one of my friends, he said like, oh, I know one good project for long-term investing. If you want to just like, spend some money, just leave it for now. I was like, okay, so let's see. And then I just came to the chat. I chat with you, if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then I brought another friend, and then just like drop some money, and then
nice.
Now we're here. Let's see. Yeah.
So you like it? You like what we've been doing for you?
Yeah. It's a long process. So nobody should expect like tomorrow they're gonna make lots of money. So this is like good project, but good things take time.
Exactly. I really do believe that.
Yeah, like that's why I was like thinking, okay, so how's that like staking work? So if I just like make like drop some more money to the liquidity pool, make some passive income, that would be great too, because it's gonna grow. Like
you can do that. First of all, Uniswap allows you to stake your to put liquidity into Uniswap. Unfortunately, the fees are only very small. It's like 1/3%. So you can't really make that much. However, Intercoin has something much better coming in November. At the end of November, when we finally turn our attention to Uniswap and decentralized exchanges, we want to line up a lot of liquidity, and we're going to have a promotion that when you provide your liquidity, we're going to match you and give you more Intercoins at the end of your stake. So
that's good, yeah.
That's going to be really cool. You can show up with absolutely no Intercoins, having never bought Intercoin, just off the street, and be anonymous even. And essentially, we will give you the Intercoins to create the two sides of the Uniswap pool, and we'll auto stake you for 6 months to a year. And like the longer you stake, so like after you unstake after 1 year, you're gonna have a 100% bonus. So if you staked $50,000 of ETH in a ETH ITR liquidity pool, you're gonna get $50,000 of ITR at the price it was when you staked. Okay.
Nice.
So that could be really good. And you get that for just locking up some of your ETH for a year. Now, just to be clear, there are risks with everything. And when you provide liquidity, the risk is called...
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, it's called impermanent loss. But if Intercoin goes up, all your impermanent loss would be covered with the Intercoin. Even if it stays the same price or slightly dips, you're going to make bank with that promotion. But now let's talk about what you're talking about, staking. Okay, so one is the promotion. This is the add liquidity promotion. And I'm going to talk about that later this month when we finally talk about decentralized exchanges. But today, I'm happy to announce that this is the second day after Intercoin has launched on its first, or I should say the ITR token has been listed on the first exchange, which is Exmarkets. So just a little bit of background. Norman, you can jump in here if you want. Our investors had friends at Exmarkets, and they said to them, hey, why don't you guys list the ITR token? It's a great project. And Exmarkets is based, I think, in Lithuania or Estonia or something like that. They have a license from Estonia. So it's other countries. And basically what happens is they came and they said, okay, we'd like to have some ITR tokens. We said to them, well, we'll have our investors provide the ITR tokens because we want to make sure that people can resell them immediately. And you guys have held for 1 year, and many people have held for 1 year. So these tokens are essentially unlocked. What we've then done is we went ahead and built a smart contract to reflect that. So you basically have a smart contract, which is this. If you go to Etherscan and you look, the smart contract is beautiful with the address. It begins with 11111. You can always see that, see essentially that that's the contract, at least for now. It's a little clue that helps you to see that. But really, you shouldn't rely on clues. You should always just look at itr.eth. itr.eth is a domain name, ENS, Ethereum name service, that pretty much can resolve to this address. Now, what's interesting about this address is that when people look at the holders, they're going to find the total market cap to be really small. So if you analyze the token, and you're watching this video later, this is the token, ITR.ETH. You want to look at the Intercoin Investor token. It has certain characteristics. First of all, if you notice, there is less than 1 million in circulation. And every month there will be at most a couple million put into circulation. That's because investors have to actively transfer or convert their existing ITR into this official token, the ITR.ETH token. Marcy, can you talk a little bit about that? Like basically, what's been your experience on the team? Like you earned Intercoin ITR, and basically like what is the concept here behind the ITR old one and the, not the old one, I should say, they're both equivalent. That's another important thing. The one you have right now is completely equivalent to the other one. You can stake it.
So what should we do with the like current ITR token, which I just hold it in my wallet? So should we convert it to something or just like hold it where it is now?
I would say hold it. If you're interested in long term, there's no reason to spend gas to convert it. If you convert it, you don't gain anything in terms of functionality. They are completely the same class of token. They have exactly the same capabilities, which are described here. And I should actually describe them here. What is the value of ITR? Like, what is the point of it, right? And that's important to understand. Once I describe this, though, I want to talk about the conversion to the new token and explain why we did it the way we did, okay? So the token essentially is the one that you bought is the one that the company is selling. When the company sells the token or the company gives it to the team member, that token is restricted there's an owner of the smart contract. The owner of the smart contract is us. We are the issuer. So that ITR which you have, there are certain things that the owner can do. For example, the owner can restrict you from selling the token for 1 year, and that's to comply with the SEC regulations. And so when if you're in the United States, that's the case. If you happen to be in another country, you're only locked for 40 days. After that, you can sell to anybody. And even during the 40 days, you can immediately turn around and sell to non-US people. So that is Regulation S, and that's what I was talking about with Sarah Hanks earlier that I was discussing here. So actually, I'm going to unmute.
Going back to Reg D, it's not just about selling to accredited investors if you're doing public solicitation. It's not just that you're selling to accredited, but they have to hold it for a year. Is that mostly correct? They'll have to hold it for a year before they can use Rule 144 or some other way to resell to someone else. Mm-hmm. Except in the case of secondary sales under Reg S. So now we go back to Rule 904, which is what I started 903.
You have to read all these rules, man.
904 provides sort of an exemption for that. It says, yeah, you may have sold to an American under 506B, 506C, or some other way, and U.S. American. And now, a month later, they found a buy. They went to Europe or whatever. The offer was made overseas. They don't have to wait a year. They can sell it the next day if they had gone to Europe and they had a buyer over there who's not a U.S. Resident, right?
Yeah, well, it's actually a 40-day holding period. I mean, the thing is, if it's already been held a year, then you can rely on a number of different things, including, as you say, Rule 144. But the interesting thing that we first met, discussed when we first met, is the whole idea that Reg S imposes this holding period under sales under Reg S. Equity a year, just like Reg D, but for debt or the other stuff, 40 days. So you mobilize it 40 days and then it's free trading.
So if you, the issuer, sell to a non-US person, that person can sell to anyone outside the United States instantly, but after 40 days, can be sold even.
If you want to rely on 904, then you would have to impose a 40-day distribution compliance period, it's called. But if you impose that, then the presumption is at the end of that period, any trading that happens will have an exemption or not be subject to the U.S. securities laws.
So I'm going to pause it here. Do you understand? So we had to put in all these rules to be compliant with the SEC. And so the original token that we are giving out, that original token is owned on the blockchain by us, and we need to essentially put the correct rules for people to be held up for 40 days if they are not US, right? And Asan, I think you're in Canada, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's right.
So you buying would have to wait for 40 days. Now, having said that, after you have done this, and under Rule 701, we can reward our team members, like we have here, Stacy, for example, and Norman, and Elena. And Elena is an advisor, but it's not just the team members; it's people that we have a contract with. So they have to hold for 1 year. Elena can get it under Reg S, for example, not necessarily, have to hold it for 1 year because she is in London. But once you've held it, then you can go ahead after it's been, quote, unrestricted. It's not a restricted asset anymore. You can go ahead and you can trade it for the new Intercoin token, which is ITR.ETH. Now, like I said, both tokens have exactly the same characteristics. They are exactly the same class of securities. I think they're securities according to the U.S. SEC. I don't necessarily think they're securities according to most other regulatory bodies in the world. So, like in Singapore, ITR even would not be considered a security. So Intercoin designs two different tokens. And here we go. This is the investor part of the presentation, all right, of the show. So anything you guys want to ask, this is the time. Intercoin is unique in many ways. And one of the ways is that we separated the investors from the communities and the utility. Okay, so if we go back and we look at why the Telegram failed and how Intercoin is different. The reason Telegram failed is because the SEC restricted it. That's the immediate reason. But if you ask for the why did Telegram lose to the SEC, and what happens is because there's a fundamental contradiction. Okay, it's not just academic about how terrible regulators are. The contradiction is, if you're trying to sell a token to people for speculative purposes, right? You guys are holding it not to look at it only, but you're holding it because you believe it will go up in price. That what you're holding today will go up in price. If that is the case, then it makes for a very poor currency, because a currency is designed to be spent, okay? And also it might not be the ideal reserve currency, because reserves, typically the requirement is that they don't lose value abruptly. So when the vendor needs to check out, the Intercoin that's on reserve should have a stable value, like a stable coin almost, but perhaps something that could go up in value gradually, but not shoot up in value really fast. Because when something shoots up in value really fast, it can also come down. And if you're trying to use that as a reserve currency, it might not always be that great. So here's ITR, the investor token, and ITR went up 25 times, 25x from the first when the first investors put in their money. Okay, so it started at 25 cents. It launched yesterday, and literally there's one guy, I think there's literally just one person decided, okay, I am going to sell some of it. And we're going to talk about why Intercoin designed things the way we have to mitigate, even in the exchanges, to mitigate the volatility that's happening. But if you just talk about essentially the what's happening, I'll explain. But so there's two different tokens here. The tokenomics of Intercoin is we sell the investor token as a company, we make money, we use that money to execute our plan. But then there is also the Intercoin token that's coming out next year. This is not meant to be sold by our investors at all. In fact, that is designed to be sold by a smart contract that is completely autonomous. And that's where the autonomous token contract code is going to come into play. Truly decentralized system, cross-chain. Intercoin is merely the software developer. The smart contracts are to be launched and operated by many different market participants. Just like Uniswap is just a software developer. And people create Uniswap pools by pressing a button on a website. It's their own money, they custody their own coins, and they decide to interact with Uniswap. Same here. Unlike most tokens, the Intercoin will not be sold by the team or the early investors. It is designed to be autonomously issued and managed by an immutable smart contract according to some rules. Here's the rule that is most interesting to you. 15% of all sales is going to go to people who staked ITR. So Asan, you were asking, how can we stake ITR? That's a very good question, because starting later this month, you will be able to start earning dividends on the sale of Inter. And Inter is launching next year. So the idea is that every time somebody buys the Intercoin, the money doesn't all go to the investors. 80% of it is kept on reserve. So when people need to redeem their local coins and get paid back, 80% of the money that's ever been spent on Intercoin is right there and used to cash them out gradually. I'll get into how they get cashed out some other day when I talk about the Intercoin project and tokenomics. But for now, all you need to know is that 80% of all money is put on reserve, and there is no guesswork. There are no auditors or people that you need to trust. It happens in the code and it's automatic. 5% is locked for liquidity pool provision, whether you want to trade Intercoin on Uniswap or other places against USDT, USDC, and so on. We set aside some money for the liquidity. And then finally, 15%, everything remaining, goes to the ITR holders. Do you guys have any questions for now? Because I'm about to get into the mechanics of staking and how to actually become a staker and earn those dividends. But do you guys have any questions for now?
Will the reward still be paid in whatever the Inter was purchased with?
Exactly, because that's the only thing we have. We could use Uniswap to convert it for you, but I feel like, why don't you just go ahead and do that, right? So it's going to be paid. If Intercoin was purchased with USDT, then all the people holding ITR are going to get 15% as a total. They're going to get 15% of that USDT. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. So yeah, so 80% is kept around for people to cash out. And it's not the people that bought it. Really, even people aren't buying it. It's completely autonomous. The Intercoin system is supposed to be like, oh, you got some city coins. Oh, your members of your city are bridging the city coins to Intercoin. So what happens is the same thing that happens in a casino. You show up with some money, you put it on reserve with a cashier. The cashier gives you some local coins, which are called chips. You transact with those chips. People may charge you for playing poker. They may have rake. They may win in a casino. But if you're going somewhere else, they don't win. They just... So the casino may charge you for some transactions. It's completely up to the local community what they do. Then someone shows up and picks up those coins, picks up the dollars that have been at the cashiers that whole time. That's what the 80% is for. The 5% is for liquidity provision, maybe marketing, I don't know. But it's all automated. 15% is going to the non-automated. It's going to the people, the humans that have supported the project, including the company. Our ITR is just as good as your ITR. So essentially, when we stake our ITR, it means we're not moving it. If we stake our ITR for 1 year, it means we cannot move it. It's enforced. So what do we get in return for doing that? Everyone who believes in the project will be able to prove it by staking their ITR, and in the holders we will see how many people actually are holding the Intercoin investor token. So right now, we're going to see essentially people right here in the holders tab. There will be a few more entries. The entries will look like this: 11111, 22222, and they're going to correspond to holding for 1 year, 2 years, etc. We might even have some English words here instead of these numbers. But the idea is we're going to see at a glance, 50% of all Intercoins have been staked. That way we know that those are Intercoins that are not going to be unstaked for a long time. And you'll be able to look at how many coins get unstaked in a particular month. So you can time your trades as well if you're interested in trading ITR. But that's essentially, we were inspired by other projects. I spoke to the team at Hex, Richard Hart and others, and a lot of the mechanics of Hex I think could be useful for staking. We've improved on some of the mechanics, like for example, you'll be able, we're looking at being able to transfer your stake to others. If you're locked up for a year and you need to, oh, did you have a question? Sorry. 1 second.
But I went on mute off mute by mistake there.
Oh, no worries, no worries. You can ask the question in a moment. I apologize. Here's my point. You're going to see large whales, quote unquote, which are a really smart contract, and they help you to stake your coins and declare to the world that you're not selling ITR for a year. We're going to reward you with that, with dividends. Anytime you're staking for a year, you're going to get shares in the dividend pool. But it's more than that. If you stake for longer periods, you're actually getting more shares. So it's not like you're getting the same amount of shares, but for 2 years. Every year that you are staking longer, you're going to get more. The currently proposed 20% per year. You're going to know the final value pretty soon. More than that, if you provide liquidity, besides the initial promotion of 100% bonus for the first 500,000 Intercoins that are put in every pool, after the first 500,000, by the way, you don't get that 100% bonus anymore. Maybe you get less and less into zero. Maybe there's a cliff. But it's only for the first people that step up and put liquidity, you're going to get your bonus. Anyway, so liquidity pool tokens from major pools like these can likewise be staked, and their dividend pools will get even more than if you simply staked Intercoin. In other words, staking Intercoin is great. It signals to everybody that you are not selling it for a year, and it helps stabilize the Intercoin price and even make it go up because Intercoin is locked. But providing liquidity is even more costly to you because not only are you staking your Intercoin, unless you got it for free in the promotion, but also you are staking something alongside it. So you're locking up a bunch of USDT ITR, and so you should be entitled to even more shares of the dividends. So people are almost like competing for how many shares of dividends they're going to get. And the incentives are entirely consistent with what should be the case. What should be the case is that we should all be trying to sell as much Intercoin as possible to the communities and to the, whether they're online communities or whether they are offline communities. Intercoin is the reserve currency that powers everything about what we do. And that reserve currency, the Intercoin, is designed to be a good reserve currency, unlike Bitcoin, which can drop 50% within a few months, couple months. It's much harder to deal with those reserves if you bought at the top. Suppose a community bought it at the top, and now a vendor is supposed to cash out. Well, they have to wait a few months before they can cash out. They become an investor in Bitcoin, and they try to time the market. So Intercoin is going to be optimized for not losing value. ITR is optimized for making value. And so the more Intercoin is sold, the more money is shared with the ITR holders. And likewise, the people that invest in the project with ITR, not only are they guaranteed, there's no humans to trust, it's just guaranteed. You wake up, you press a button, and you get some USDT in your wallet. But they're also aligned completely with the incentives to sell ITR and never dump it because they don't have any of it. It's not even that we're trusting them to be self-interested. It's that literally they don't have any. So Intercoin is completely, the team can't dump it. You guys can't dump it. The only time it comes into existence is when a community decides to buy it. I'll talk about that some other time. But today, we're talking about ITR. So all you will have to do to stake your ITR is to send it to one of these, shall we say, smart contracts that will appear here, the dividend staking pools. You'll just find the address. You click on the address, just like we're doing here, except this one is called ITR.ETH. We might have, ITR 1 year staking liquidity pool.ETH or whatever. We'll see, something short. You go ahead and send to there, and your tokens are locked. That's all you had to do. You send it there, the tokens are locked, and instead of sending you, so what it sends you back is the shares. So in your wallet, you're going to have the shares of dividends. And that's what we are working on GitHub. And here is the GitHub repository for that dividends contract. So dividends contract, like everything else we do, is repurposable. So when our project can use it, any other project can use it too. And the dividend smart contract will be able to essentially distribute dividends to reward investors who are staking our token. So long story short, what you can expect in the next year is that Intercoin is going to be launching. No one will have it of the early investors, so no one can dump it. It'll be an amazing utility token in the sense that 80% of it goes on reserve. Where is it? I apologize, jumping around like this. Here are the tokenomics of it. Very, very simple. 80% is kept on reserve for buybacks. 5% is locked in the liquidity pool. And 15% is sent to the investors, including the company. And this is the only way that any of us make money right now. So to do the back of the envelope calculation, if Intercoin becomes as big as Bitcoin, and all the Intercoins are sold, we're talking about multi-billions of dollars over time, right? Of all the Intercoins that were ever sold. And so, for example, the last Bitcoin was mined, and then it was sold for $50,000, let's say, or 63 or whatever it was sold at. Here, instead of mining, the smart contract mints it. So literally the smart contract sells it for 50,000 and then gives us the 15%. So if you add up all that money, you end up with essentially a triangle of money that increases and increases. And so that's about half of a rectangle or a square or whatever. And then that is billions of dollars. So you're essentially, the most that people will get investing into ITR is 15% of those billions of dollars. So for example, if just back of the envelope calculation, if Intercoin becomes as big as Bitcoin, and let's say that $50 billion of Bitcoin has been, mined and sold. So 15% of 50 billion is $7.5 billion. That's, if Intercoin reaches what Bitcoin has reached today, and I'm only talking about today, I'm not even talking about the future, then the smart contract will have sold billions of dollars of it, and we all get 15%. All right, everything clear? Does anybody have any questions about the value of ITR or why holding or staking ITR could be useful?
Can I ask about staking?
Yeah, please.
Okay, say if I had so much staking, and then say I bought more the next month and wanted to stake more, do I have to restart my stake or add, or exactly would that work?
Oh, fantastic question. Each stake is by itself. If you start a stake that's 1 year of 30 coins, and then you show up later with 20 coins, 20 ITRs, you can start a new stake, and the first stake will expire before the second stake expires, for example.
Yep, that's perfect. That's all I wanted to know.
Yep. At every moment when an Inter token is sold, you're essentially getting proportional to how much shares you have relative to the whole pool. So if you have 2% of the pool at the moment when Inter is sold, then 15% of that sale goes, and you have 2% of the 15%. So that's basically how the whole thing works. All right, let's finally get into the what we've been all waiting for, the listing. So I kind of want to talk about other listings and compare yesterday's debut of Intercoin with others. So here's Minty Swap, launched a couple months ago, September 3rd, I believe, or October 3rd. They were preparing for about 2 months. But in those 2 months, in the pre-sale, these guys raised $7 million, at least. I remember being in their chat room, $7 million the team took down. Okay, they sold a lot. Their market cap was $90 million. So it's not surprising that when you look at Minty Swap and you looked at the price, well, the price today is actually 92. Believe it or not, it's below the launch price. It's below where it launched. So if you go, these guys have raised a lot for the team. They're able to execute, and over the years they could go up a lot. But let's go back to when they first launched, and let's look at what happened. August, nothing. They were still doing the pre-sale, and then boom. So what happened was this, Minty Swap. I don't know if you could see it here. It went up to so basically the pre-launch people got it at 1/5 of the price. The price was supposed to be here, I believe. Anyway, right away it got dumped back down, and I can't quite tell from this one. I might have to look at the 10-minute chart and scroll really far back. But the point is that, one second. Yeah, so the point is, after the launch, a lot of people see a payday, okay? And I personally, the token was 10x'd since I bought in the pre-sale. After, the huge rocket up, 10x. But then what happened was there was a huge drop as people decided that they wanted to take some profits. And as a result, this token, this guy's very well connected, the Minty Swap CEO, they're also a cross-chain DEX. They're launching a lot of stuff with NFTs. Seems like a really great project. But here, I'm going to get to the beginning. I just want to show you what their beginning looked like. And ever since then, it's been hovering. Look at that. It's been hovering around half of what its launch price was. So just hold up a second. Let me go to the beginning of it. If anybody knows how to do this faster, let me know. But whatever, you kind of saw it. The launch was, here. Actually, I don't know if I can show you the picture. You're not able to see it here. I'm just gonna forward it into the Intercoin community chat. Here's a picture of Minty Swap. Minty Swap launch went down quite a bit and is still below the launch price. What's my point about this? Is that good projects what you don't see is that before the launch, they went up 25x, right? They went up 50x or whatever. So faced with those kinds of gains, a lot of people do cash out. I'm proud to say on our investors, almost no one wants to cash out. This one guy who was for a long time kind of needed the money. He took it the first chance he got, and he sold. So that is what caused this drop. After that, people bought, and then as we're talking, apparently people are selling, and then we have buyers coming in a few days, which I know, and gonna put it back up. The liquidity pool is really small, so it pretty much goes up and down like this. But what's my point? My point is I believe, and we'll test my theory, that in a month from now, the Intercoin token will be above its launch price of 25 cents. It will be trading above. And that's what our team is doing. This is a very small liquidity pool. So literally like somebody puts $20,000 in here, it will shoot up to 30 cents or something. But so you shouldn't really look at this too much. However, people do look at this. And a lot of the time, the spot price on an exchange determines whether people will be willing to buy the token over the counter. So if you're offering Intercoins at 15 cents, they're going to look at the exchanges and they're going to be like, well, how come on the exchange it's at, currently it's at 5 cents? Which is why it's important if you're trying to sell something in the future, if you are if you're a holder, if you're an owner of ITR, then what you do is you basically, if you want to sell some in the future, what you do is you try to raise the price on the exchange. You try to be a bull and you say, okay, I'm going to buy on the exchange. Because then when you go and sell over the counter, people look at the exchange and say, oh, the price is, this is what happens after the bulls and bears fight. And this is the current price, so I accept this price. So actually, exchanges is not where you're supposed to make all your money. Like whoever sold here on the exchange, what do they really get? Like they get maybe $1,000 because the liquidity pool is so small. Like they get maybe $3,000. If you're a holder of a lot of Intercoin, you should be trying to find buyers over the counter. And on the exchange, you want Intercoin to be worth more because that's when you can sell it for a better price. So that's basically the idea. That's basically the idea of Intercoin. Okay. So not just of Intercoin, that's the idea of exchanges and over the counter. So let's go to the two tokens. They're exactly the same in terms of their functionality. Each of these will be able to be staked. Each of these will be able to be traded. The only difference is that this one is controlled by the company and to comply with SEC regulations and other things. Whereas this one is completely unrestricted and there's no owner and nothing. So you can do whatever you want with it. We have allowed our investors to cash in. We've allowed them to essentially go ahead and at 2% per month, they're able to transfer their old ITR tokens into the new ITR tokens. And so these people who are dumping right now, they only have a small amount of it compared to essentially what it could be. The people who are buying can stand a chance to raise the price. If, on the other hand, we allowed all the whales to be unlocked like they are here, anyone can dump it at any time, and buyers, unless they had $100 million or something, would not stand a chance to raise the price. So exchanges wanted to have an unlocked token, and frankly, we needed to unlock people to remove the restrictive conditions on the smart contract. So we created the gateway. So you can think of this as an aquarium in which small fishes swim, and in this one is an aquarium where it's a big ocean where whales can swim. And so if you are going on an exchange or you want people to list on an exchange, this is what you would do. You would basically have it list kind of like the aquarium with the small fish. So even the big whales are small fish in the sense that every month they can only transfer this amount of stuff to the smart contract. And that's how we have formed the, That's how we formed the current tokenomics. And hopefully that leads to fair markets, price discovery. And if our company does well, then people are going to come and buy this token. And as soon as you see it here, you think, oh, I could buy it at 5 cents. And so if I tell people I'll sell you Intercoin, $25,000 of Intercoin at 15 cents, right? And they say, well, why would I buy it from you? I see it's here 5 cents. I say, so the answer is there's so little liquidity yet, okay, that there's so little volume also, that if you are trying to buy $25,000 of Intercoin, the price is going to go up, and the average price you're going to pay is going to be around 15 cents. And if you don't believe me, then go ahead and buy it and come back to us when you've bought it and you've maybe bought 5,000 of it, and now the price is at 12 cents, and you're like, oh, all right, let me buy the rest from you. So at this point, over-the-counter sales can be cheaper at 15 cents than buying on the exchange. But the answer is correct. Please go buy on the exchange. Always just go buy on the exchange first. And when the price is too high, come back to us, right? So what the exchange represents is it allows you and the investors and everybody to compete with us to sell their Intercoins, okay? But the competition is only in a small aquarium. You can't take all of your coins and dump them right away. If you have private conversations and over the counter you want to sell things, you can go ahead and do that. But that is the first exchange. So I'm pretty proud to say that Intercoin had a pretty nice debut first day. We'll see what happens in the next days as buyers come. But that's the last thing I just want to say about this is that I myself am much more interested in the primary sales and the business of Intercoin. We're interested to serve communities, okay? That is what will give ITR its actual value. Like, I don't even care what people subjectively think based on limited information and what they want to do. If they think it's going to go up, they probably think that because they like the website. If they want to sell it, it's probably because they need the money or they're like, man, these guys took so long or whatever. But this is when Intercoin launches, when the Intercoin launches, remember, it won't be owned by the team. It won't be owned by initial investors, so it cannot be dumped. That's when we go to all of the utility token exchanges, and we can literally have this trading on DEXs, utility token exchange, because it's not a security. I'm pretty sure we can wager it's not a security because it doesn't have many of the things that the Howey test requires. There is no common enterprise. There is no... so people buy it not from us. Even if it was a security, let's say, it would be a decentralized autonomous organization. But mostly, there is no expectation of profit. Cities are not buying Intercoin because they're trying to resell their infrastructure. Just the same way cities are not installing 5G or water in the city to, it's for the utility. It's for the people to drink the water and to use the 5G. It is not to resell the technology later to other cities and make a profit. So Intercoin is not being sold with the promise of making money. Intercoin is being sold for its utility, and it can be traded for that. And as more of it is bought, and we have a real business with real customers who need it for real needs, that's when ITR holders who staked it and didn't sell it or dump it or whatever are going to be super rewarded. And so how do they get super rewarded is they get 15%. As soon as you see the money showing up in your wallet, you're going to know that I don't want to sell any more of the ITR. Or you can tell people, hey, buy this ITR and you get the cash flow, right? So at that point, I think the price in 3 months from now, people, when they realize this, and this is actually advertised on, Bloomberg, Newswire, whatever, Yahoo Finance, people are realizing, oh, I can invest in the Intercoin network the same way I can invest in Bitcoin mining. We're going to get 15% of all the coins produced. And you can do that without burning any electricity, proof of stake networks. So it's all clean and nice. And essentially, it's like owning a Bitcoin mining rig, except you're not actually polluting the planet. So that's basically what ITR will represent next year. Until then, it's really just a speculative asset that you can kind of see the team, see what we've built, and trust that we're going to launch Intercoin. So for now, there is a degree of risk. And most of these people, they don't understand what is even going to happen. But in order to understand, we just have to communicate it better as a team. And Stacy, I think that's the point. Over the next few months, we really need to communicate better as a team. And the ITRs that we're earning, we're going to basically, we're betting on the future that we're right, that communities need to have their own coins and NFTs and stuff like that. Because if we're right, we have a global market and billions of dollars can be spent on buying the coin. And then once that happens, we'll be glad we didn't sell Intercoin. So these, although I like the exchanges and the secondary markets, and although I enjoy sort of understanding better and better what the dynamics are of these things, I much better understand serving customers and building systems that help humanity. Like that to me is the big thing. And I really believe that if you do that, then the shares you have and the ITRs you have will take care of itself. The money will come. So that's coming in the next few months.
Sorry, can I ask something?
Thank you, Greg.
Sure. Yeah, ask whatever you like.
Yeah, so in case if I want to like buy more now, like because I already buy on pre-sale, so I want to just add some more. So should I just like connect my wallet to the exchange and then buy the coin and then transfer it to my wallet? I'll have it in a trust wallet.
It's even simpler than that. You simply go to exmarkets.com, create an account, and
yeah, I already did.
Oh, great. So then just transfer your ETH or USDT or BTC or any other asset into Exmarkets. And when it appears in your account, you go to this URL, which is ITR USDT, or in other words, you can also go to intercoin.org and then click the button. I would recommend to do two things. One is click the button, get ITR in Exmarkets. And the other one is to add ITR to your MetaMask or to your Trust wallet. So this way you can see it.
I have all my tokens in my Trust wallet. So
oh, perfect.
I can do that. Yeah.
So I encourage everyone, like if you want to buy, don't buy from us. Right now, go to support the price on Uniswap. Buy it. Sorry, Uniswap. Exmarkets. Uniswap is coming. Exmarkets. Go buy it there, because if the price goes back to like 25 cents, there's going to be more buyers just based on the price, not even based on what our company represents or going to do or the roadmap. It's just people like to see the price. And I don't want to underestimate the psychology. It's important for people to buy it here right now, because that's going to have a much bigger effect on the ecosystem than even an article in Forbes magazine, I think. Because right now there could be people who want to put in $100,000 or $500,000 over the next few months, and they need to see a good chart, because this is what tells them that it's not just about talk, but people are putting their money where their mouth is, and they are investing and they're buying on the exchange. So right now, at this moment, because this is public to the whole world and we're advertising it to everyone, we would like to have the exchange, reflect confidence in the project. So definitely, if you want to buy $10,000 of ITR or $50,000 or whatever you want to buy, don't buy from us. If somebody comes to me and says, I'd like to buy some ITR for the next few weeks, I'm just telling them, go ahead and buy it on the exchange. So that's what we're doing.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
I also wanted to add a little bit from the investor's point of view. If Intercoin would be compared to the Ethereum history, and when Ethereum just was launched on exchanges, the price actually also was dumped, and it stayed very low for the 6 months until the project began to expand. And even we compared, it's not even for 6 months stayed on a very low price, but for 2 years. And a lot of people now understand what Ethereum changed in the environment, in a crypto environment. That's why I personally believe in Intercoin, that Intercoin can be even bigger than Ethereum, because of the utility what Intercoin will provide for every community over the globe.
Exactly. I think there's the short-term question of whether people can bring buyers, and all of you, and you have your friends, like, tell them, don't buy from us yet. I want to hold. Buy on the exchange. That's what we're going to do. To be honest with you, I, myself, I'm not experienced as an underwriter. I don't underwrite exchange listings, and I don't, what a typical underwriter does, like Goldman Sachs, is that they literally went ahead and they did a roadshow for 6 months before having Facebook shares go on the exchange. And before doing an IPO, one of the probably the most advanced bank in the world, Goldman Sachs, went around for 6 months, and they did all that stuff. Crypto is for the people, so we kind of just put it on the exchange. Exchange contacted us. We connected them with the investors, and really we didn't even put it on the exchange. The investors supplied the Intercoin, ITR, and the exchange put it up. So what's happening here is, like, in many ways, much more down to earth, and this is what happens in the beginning. So you don't necessarily expect somebody's muted. One second, I gotta mute you. I apologize. You're echoing. Roderick, that's you. Hey, welcome. Roderick, are you there?
Oh yeah, sorry. I am closing my mic now.
No worries. Hey, welcome. Yeah, we're talking about the exchange, and we're talking about essentially what the prices mean. And right now, I was just saying basically that when an exchange listing is professionally managed, like Goldman Sachs, sometimes Facebook shares go down over time, down 50% since IPO. So over the next few months, Facebook shares actually slumped. They're now down more than 50% of its value since the social network's IPO. So even when you have a professional launch with the most professional and largest, most innovative bank, which often takes advantage of others, and you still have a lot of people who want to sell out because they have done so much. Intercoin has come from 1 cent to 25 cents. Facebook has made Peter Thiel's $500,000 investment into $5 billion, okay, at the IPO time. This was only at the time of IPO. So it's not surprising that early investors might want to take some profits. And that's where the losses usually come from. In this case, I don't know who is, I know in this case who it was. I don't know who this is. I think somebody apparently, bought or sold. But here's my point. We are executing over the next few months, creating the ITR Intercoin token. And then the ITR token will not just have a speculative value, but it will have real value in the sense that it creates a perpetual revenue stream for the next 50 years or whatever. And you show up in your wallet and you stake it and you have USDT, you have ETH. So what's my point is that even with a professional underwriting, even with Facebook, when something goes up that much over a period of time, you can see over a few months, it will lose 50% of value in this case. But with us, we want to actually add a lot of value. So over the next month or so, we believe that with the buyers that are coming, the price will go up. But I myself am not a underwriter, and I'm not someone who is an expert on secondary markets. All we did is provide ITR to the exchange, or I should say connect them to the people who provided ITR to the exchange, which is the investors. What I can tell you is that I'm very passionate to build community software and to sell the Intercoin, the actual Intercoin from which the actual value comes from. And that's what we will be doing with the team. So if you have any questions, maybe Roderick, you have some questions, definitely have at it and ask. Hopefully we can answer it.
No, I am okay. I am just listening.
Okay, perfect. So basically that covers the initial launch. That covers also the questions about how do you get the new token, the Intercoin investor token, which is this. Why it was designed the way it was designed, and why the original token needs to have an owner in order to comply with regulations. So that's basically where we're at. I would say going forward, when it comes to investing in Intercoin, you just tell all your friends to buy on the exchange. We are no longer selling Intercoin ourselves, at least the company isn't. And I would encourage all of you as well, that if you want to sell some Intercoin, hold off for 2 months selling it. Instead, tell people, hey, you want to buy from me? Go buy on the exchange. that's pretty much it. Some of our investors are bringing their friends, and basically what I'm going to be doing over November and December is working almost entirely with the tech team and with the roadmap that we have in front of us, which you can see here. So that's pretty much it.
And regarding the tech team, we have already joined our chat today a new potential developer who expressed his interest to work for Intercoin. Blockchain developer. It's Mohammed. He is on a call already.
Oh.
And he wants to work for Intercoin and to be remunerated in ITRs.
Excellent. Hey, Mohammed, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to join your company.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit more. I'm very happy that you are excited by the project. Tell us a little bit, what do you find the most interesting about Intercoin going forward?
Yeah, I've checked your website and it's a great platform. So yeah, I believe that you'll be growing rapidly in the future.
Okay, perfect. Well, people who join the team can have also can help to make the token grow in the future. You have a part in making it actually part of building the future together. So
okay.
So Mohammed is the full stack developer, full stack blockchain developer, and he already looked at GitHub, what we have. He liked it very much, and he is very interested in NFTs. So potentially, I promised him to introduce him to you, Greg, and for him to work on our plans with NFTs.
Excellent.
Or what you will decide to give him, because Muhammad, I didn't tell Mohammed yet that you are one of the best architects that create all visions in technology with Intercoin.
Excellent. Well, I would love to, Mohammed, let's connect after this. You can meet the rest of the developer team, and let's see what we can do together.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, that's basically it for this show. If anybody has any final questions, I'm very happy to answer. I think there's a couple people in this voice chat that haven't actually had a chance. Like, well, Karts, you have been silent. If you wanted to say anything, you're welcome to.
I was just saying, obviously, I've kind of just joined recently. Connected with Stacey. So yeah, I'm just glad to be involved with it. I've got a lot to learn about the project still, but yeah, I've kind of been in crypto for the last 5 years. Probably I bought my first Bitcoin early 2017. Like most people, it was kind of something to sort of like just try and make some money, but then you get to learn about the technology and the opportunities that come with it and whatnot. So I ended up down that rabbit hole for 5, and here I am 5 years later. Sorry. Dropped my microphone here, my AirPods fell out.
No.
So yeah, I'm going to be helping, obviously working with Stacey and helping build the community and sort of trying to gather some interest in the project.
Absolutely. I'm very excited to have you as well. So all of us together, I think we're building a decentralized movement. I mean, for now it's kind of centralized and we're all a big family here. This time next year, it's going to be a lot more decentralized. And this time 5 years from now, Intercoin could be a worldwide movement. And we started to talk about the internet. So I just want to play that clip one more time. And Marcy, we're going to have to cut that clip because I love it. The Intercoin show is part of our commitment to making crypto go mainstream. And the time computers went mainstream was with the internet. Before the internet, computers were for work, homework, and maybe video games. And that's it. It's the internet that made the computers interconnect. It's the internet that enables us today to have this show happen. And before that, we would have to pay a gatekeeper, cable channel, TV station, in order to do anybody can do right now. And that's the idea of Intercoin. We want Intercoin to lower the barrier and the cost to do the kinds of things that we're doing now with the web, but to do it with economies. So let's hear this again, and I guess have a great day.
BCGE.com. I mean,
well, Allison should know.
What is internet anyway?
Internet is that massive computer network, the one that's becoming really big now.
What do you mean? That's big. How does one? What do you write to it like mail?
No, a lot of people use it and communicate. I guess they can communicate with NBC, right?
You know, so just substitute the word internet with the word Intercoin. What is Intercoin? Oh, it's that network that's getting big now, and people use it to actually pay for things.
Writers and producers. Allison, can you explain what internet is?
No, she can't say anything in 10 seconds or less.
Oh, Allison will be in the studio shortly.
What does
it mean?
It's a giant computer network made up of started from.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell us what this was.
Yeah, it's a giant computer network made up of smaller networks. That's what we're building. All right, everybody. Thank you, and see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later, guys.
All right.